Hey everyone, welcome back to our webinar series, and we are very excited to have Aeryon from Aeryon Wellness here today to talk to us about vaginal health. So for those of you who are just joining us, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the Q&A section or in the comments section. All questions will be answered at the end of the presentation, and tonight's webinar will also be recorded and sent out to everybody who attends. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Aeryon.
Yay! Okay, let me share my screen. We'll get started right away. So, 1 second here. This little thing. Start. All right. So first off, I want to thank Netters for having me yet again to do a talk. I really appreciate it. I value Netters as a partner with Aeryon Wellness and supporting a woman in business and trying to get my message out, empowering women with holistic health. So I greatly appreciate their support for my company and also for the opportunity to speak to you guys tonight. And I appreciate each of you for taking time to be with me tonight. I know there's a lot of places we can be. And so thank you for spending some time with me here tonight. So a little bit about who I am. My name is Ashlie. I'm the founder and CEO of Aeryon Wellness Nutraceuticals. I'm a holistic nutritionalist, a registered holistic nutritional counselor, eating disorder recovery coach, and cognitive behavioral therapist practitioner. In 2020 and 2021, I was top 100 health and wellness influencer. I have a #1 book on Amazon called Bulimia to Balance, which really chronicles my health crisis. And I have 4 cookbooks with my daughter, and I had a wellness radio show out here for a number of years. But I have been in the health and wellness space now for about 20 years and speaking for about, 10 now that I think about it. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit about who I am and why, this topic is important to me today, as well as health and wellness and my mission. So I had my aha moment about 10 years ago. This is me on the far left. That was not me 10 years ago. That was me when I was 13. When I was 13 years old, my parent put me in Weight Watchers because I really struggled with my weight. And I fell into bulimia for 25 years. And I battled a really intense battle with anorexia, bulimia, over-exercise. And in my 20s, I began to do fitness competitions. And so if you see that picture there in the bikini on stage, that was at the Arnold Classic. However, the problem was I really had this up and down relationship. I would either be really hardcore on the wagon and trying to be so healthy, or I'd fall off dramatically. And the picture on the right is about a month and a half later. So I had my aha moment about 10 years ago. As I was saying, my daughter almost walked into the bathroom and caught me in a purge. And I had this aha come to Jesus moment, I guess you could say, where I realized that if I didn't get a control of myself, my daughter would follow in my path. And although I was a holistic nutritionalist at the time, I was very good at giving advice, not so good taking it. And I really began to journey and to find sustainable health and wellness for myself and look at what true holistic health was. And that was actually a big part of what is my brand now too. And we really came around these 5 pillars. And the 5 pillars are the thoughts you think, the friends you keep, daily movement, nutrition, and then lastly, supplementation. And I kind of use some of this throughout the talk today that we're going to be talking about, because, you can take all the great supplements in the world, or all the ashwagandha, which is a stress support product in the world. But if you're a really negative, fear-based state of mind, you're constantly thinking horrible, negative thoughts about yourself, you're still going to be stressed. So that was one of the real tools. These are all the tools I use to find sustainable health and wellness, working with counselors and nutritionalists. And I'm really finding a way to find sustainable health. And that is now my mission, is sharing that with women everywhere that I possibly can, the tools that they can use to then find sustainable health and wellness. So how we do this with my brand, and once I'm done this, then we'll get into the talk, is we have QR codes on the front of every product. So I welcome you, if you see an Aeryon Wellness product, scan that QR code. You're going to have meal plans. You're going to have a video explaining every single product. You get tools and tips and strategies to help you find health and wellness. So it's not just buy a supplement. It's really looking how we can create new habits to find sustainable health and wellness. So on to our favorite topic of the day, vagina. I recently won an award for Innovative Product of the Year, and I had an audience of 100 people scream out vagina. So that was great fun. So I think often we shy away from that word, but we're going to really celebrate it tonight as we discuss the vagina. So let's see here. We're going to do a little bit of a chat. I want to ask people's questions, and you guys can tell me the answers. So we're going to go in the chat here. or the Q&A. It would be Q&A or chat, whichever one we go to. And you guys get to answer questions. So let's go into the chat instead. There we go, chat. Okay. The vagina should be, there we go. The vagina should be fruity and smell pleasant. True or false? Anybody? Anybody want to say true or false? No, it's not always going to be true. Thank you. False. The vagina discharge is always unhealthy. That's another false, right? Thank you. You should clean your vagina with douche and cleansers. Anybody? You don't want to do that. We're going to explain and talk about that in a bit. Where's my, I can't see my mouse. Oops, sorry guys. I can't see my mouse here. There we go. Okay. Eating pineapple will make your vagina sweet. I used to actually believe that back in the day. That's not true. And the more sex you have, the looser your vagina becomes. No. And the vagina is complicated, confusing, and tricky to navigate. It is not. And we're really going to start picking this apart. I don't know if that's a word we really want to use tonight as we dig into this conversation. So how are topics of discussion today? We're going to talk about vaginal health. We're going to talk meet the vagina. I think a lot of women, and this is something I've experienced in the past 8 months with launching one of our products for vaginal health. A lot of women are nervous to even look at themselves, which is something we really want to get comfortable with. This is our vagina, and we really want to feel empowered with it. Look at our vaginal immunity. A lot of people don't know that our immune system, we do have an immunity in our vaginal area, in our vagina. It has an immune system. Our mucus barrier, our vaginal flora, vaginal pH, and why that is important, unbalanced vaginal pH, why we don't want that to happen, some of the factors and solutions, and then we're going to touch a little bit on some supplementation that can take care of that, and then we're going to jump into our Q&A at the end. So what is vaginal health? So it's a really important part of our overall health. I mean, obviously it's part of our bodies, and it can affect fertility, it can affect desire for sex and ability to reach orgasm, but also causes stress in relationships. I don't know if anybody else can, attest to this, but I know if things aren't feeling right down there, down in your vaginal area, you don't really want to engage with your partner. You are feeling like, oh gosh, what's going on? What's that smell? It seems a bit off, right? It really is going to affect your self-confidence as well. So it's really important that we take care of our vaginal health, and these what we're going to be talking about today. So to get us a little bit comfortable with our lady bits, the vulva, and this is something you hear that word, but the vulva is the outer part of the female genitalia, right? So that's the visible part between your legs. That's from the outside. Then we have the clitoris, of course, for pleasure. Hopefully we've all had a chance to experience some of that. The labia, that's the inner and outer fold, the urethra, where urine exits. And then of course the vagina, that's where period, discharge, and our lovely babies come from. Or you can have them cesarean, or you can have them any other ways. So as we kind of go inside the female genitalia, the female genitalia tract is comprised the upper reproductive tract. So that's the fallopian tubes, the uterus surgus, and then also the lower reproductive tract. I'm pointing out here, like you can see it. That's composed of the ectocervix and also the vaginal tract as well. So there's two separate areas that are here. And the reproductive tract is a really complex ecosystem. It has immune cells in there, hormones, and microorganisms, which all interact and interplay on each other. And when we think about immune health, I think often we don't think about vaginal immunity. What we think about is protecting ourselves against cold, vitamin C. We think about, the past 3 years that we just been through, how we wanted to stay healthy. We don't really think about vaginal immunity, and that does exist as well. And there's two main types of immunity when we look at immune health. There's innate immunity, which you're born with, right? So our skin would be regarded as innate immunity because that protects us from germs entering the body, and adaptive immunity. So adaptive immunity is we develop adaptive immunity when we're exposed to different diseases, or if some choose to be vaccinated, that's another way that they can have immunity as well. So there's two different ways in which we have immunity. Vaginal immunity. So the innate vaginal immunity system, the first line of defense would be the vulva area, right? That's what's really going to protect everything from going inside the vaginal area. So the skin, the mucous membranes, and the secretion of skin and mucous membranes. So we're going to start touching base on that. So the mucosa, mucosa actually lines most of our inner organs that we have in body cavities. And it also does the vagina as well. And it's the first line of defense. So it's one of that innate immunity as well, right? So it's the first line of defense. It's really critically important to protect against microbes, say that word. And it's really a unique, delicate balance, and a unique, delicate balance between them all. It's really important that we find that balance between having we're going to talk a little about the lactobacilli in there and the hydrogen peroxide, and all those things combined together to create a really pH balanced vaginal area that protects you from any pathogens or microbes, sorry. Then we also have the cervical mucus. So the cervical mucus lines the cervix, vagina, and vulva, and it creates a protective barrier. So again, we have another protective barrier. So looking at all these different protective barriers that can support us so we don't actually have some of the issues we're going to talk about in a bit. This is actually under the microscope, that is cervical mucus. So if you look at how beautiful that is, it's almost kind of like a painting or a beautiful wallpaper. So that's actually that's what it looks like. So it's quite gorgeous, to be quite honest with you. I think it is. And it really plays another major role in preventing against pathogens, but it also helps the sperm reach the reproductive tract. So it can assist with pregnancy. It signals for disease and also helps foster a healthy vaginal flora as well. So all of these things are really interplaying together to make sure our vaginal flora, to make sure our vaginas are very super healthy. Now, vaginal flora, a lot of the time when we think about bacteria, we think some bacteria is good. Of course, we know there is good bacteria as well, but in our vaginal area, we also do have vaginal microbiome. And this shields against microbes that we just talked about. It produces antimicrobial substances. It helps stimulate the immune system that we talked about a couple slides ago. It also protects the integrity of the mucosa, so that thin lining that protects, that acts as that first barrier. And also favors the secretion of mucus, so it supports the mucous membrane as well. And then also maintains a protected acidic pH, which we're going to talk about pH in a couple more slides. So when we think about vaginal microbiome, it's kind of a nice, or vaginal flora, that's a really nice way of describing the millions of bacteria that live down there. So it may kind of be like, oh, wow, but it's actually good. We really want that bacteria to be thriving and to be alive and be supported. So vaginal microbiome. So we consist of about 99% of lactobacilli down there. And so it's a dominated lactobacilli, and it's actually, which secretes lactic acid and hydrogen peroxide and gives the vagina its pH. It also comes from estrogen, which is a really important part of it as well. So when you have vaginal dysbiosis, or bacterial vaginosis, or yeast infections, it's an overgrowth of these anaerobes. And that's what happens is when you don't have that really high, the low pH that we're going to talk about in a couple slides. So really looking at how we can keep the vaginal area very acidic so we get a healthy vagina at all times. So balanced vaginal pH. So a normal, healthy vaginal ecosystem is under the influence, as I mentioned before, of estrogen. So you look at this picture here, we have estrogen, and is maintained by lactobacilli, and it secretes lactic acid and hydrogen peroxide, and it creates more lactobacilli. So it's when women find themselves in menopause, a lot of the time when their estrogen levels start to drop, that's when they'll also notice they'll have issues with their vaginal area. They'll have more bacterial vaginosis. They can experience more yeast infections, because estrogen really plays a key role in this as well, in keeping the lactobacilli thriving and healthy. And so when I talked about the pH, we want to keep our vaginal area under 4.5, so 3.8 to 4.5. And having the lactobacilli, the hydrogen, the lactic acid, all of this really keeps it in that really acidic state. So what is pH? So the pH scale really measures acid to alkaline. And we've always been talking about being super alkaline. You want to be alkaline. You take all your veggies, and we know that cancer can't thrive in an acidic environment or an alkaline environment. So really looking at how we always want to be alkaline, except in our vaginas. We want our vaginas to be very acidic. So when you look here, we really want it to be between a 3.8 to a 4.5, where that little happy face is, right? 3.5 to 4.8, the stats sometimes, but 3.8, 4.5, somewhere around those lines is where you want to be. You want to be very, very acidic. And how it becomes acidic is from all the slides we were talking before, with estrogen, glycogen, hydrogen peroxide, all of those mixed together. And that creates a very acidic environment. So as I said, vaginal pH is become from a 3.8 to a 4.5. Now, one question we always have women ask too is, why are my underwear bleached? Well, bleaching in the underwear is actually due to vaginal discharge because it's acidic. So a lot of the time you're like, oh, now I get it, because before I didn't understand that either. I'm like, okay, now I understand, because it's very acidic and you want that. You actually, it's a sign of a healthy vagina to have. If you're wearing black underwear and there's, bleached out, it's actually a good thing. So, and it's a really important part also too of the vagina's natural cleaning process as well when you have discharge too. So when we have an unbalanced vaginal pH, that can lead to yeast infections and bacterial vaginosis. So 75% of women will experience one yeast infection in their lifetime. And 1 in 3 women will experience bacterial vaginosis. And we're going to talk about what those two things are and what the difference is between the two. And then we're also going to talk about different solutions you can have for that. So the difference between yeast infections. So yeast infections are itchy, are uncomfortable. There's no odor, there's a discharge, and it's caused by yeast and is sore, right? Bacterial vaginosis is no itch or irritation, and there's a smell. That's usually how you can tell right away there's a smell. Yeast infections are around a 4.5 to 5 on the alkalinity scale, what I just talked about. Anytime you go 5 and up, when there's a smell, that's when it's bacterial vaginosis. So basically what that means is all of a sudden your vagina is not as acidic as it needs to be. And in that, that's going to affect that innate immunity. It's going to affect all the different things we just talked about, right? The mucosis, the mucus, all of those things in protecting pathogens, protecting against pathogens and microbes coming in and causing bacterial vaginosis and yeast infections. That's why it's so important for us to stay super acidic in our vaginal area. So the factors with yeast infections, what leads to it? Antibiotic use that kills healthy bacteria. Estrogen, high levels of estrogen can cause candida to overgrow. Also the same when you're going through menopause, really low levels of estrogen, because it's important to have estrogen to create that to use with the hydrogen peroxide and the lactic acid to create the lactobacilli. So it's kind of finding that perfect balance, really. You don't want to be estrogen dominant. You also don't want to be under as well. So there's two, really want to find that perfect balance. Douching upsets natural balance. I remember when I was younger, I used to use douche all the time, thinking I didn't want to smell. So don't use douche. Any woman who's douching, tell her not to. Sugar, high amounts of sugar. Yeast feeds off of sugar as well. An impaired immune system as well can lower your immunity. So those are some factors with yeast and getting yeast infections. Bacterial vaginosis, stress, which is really interesting. So stress also can increase your prevalence of bacterial vaginosis. Sex. So male sperm is super alkaline. It is like a 9, so super alkaline. When we have unprotected sex with our partners, our bodies, which is really amazing when you think about it, instantly, when we have unprotected sex, instantly tries to become more alkaline to protect the sperm so we don't kill it with our acidic vaginas or amazing acidic vagina. But amazing, what happens is our body instantly starts to become more alkaline. So then we can get pregnant because that's our biological job. After we're done having sex, that's why it's so important to go to the bathroom after having sex. But often what ends up happening, we just don't get back down to that 3.8. We become too alkaline, as we talked about. So when we become too alkaline, what happens? You're going to have microbes. You can have bacterial vaginosis or yeast infections can happen. So it's really important to, one, be very cautious. If you are somebody susceptible to bacterial vaginosis, have protected sex. That would be one option. We're going to talk about another option in a bit. Another way you can get bacterial vaginosis is sex toys, not cleaning them properly. So make sure you clean them afterwards. Menopause, as we talked about, your estrogen levels shift and they start to go down. And wiping, you want to make sure you wipe front to back, right? So those are some of the things that you really want to make sure you do. And I'm going to share a little story with you how I actually, why this topic is very interesting to me, at least. I was with a partner for a long-term relationship. I got bacterial vaginosis and we were in a monogamous relationship for 5 years. And he didn't get the memo on what monogamy meant. And he was part of my parting gifts after our relationship was over was I got chlamydia. So I did 2 rounds of antibiotics and because I was so freaked out. And after my second round, my vaginal flora was just destroyed. And so I kept getting bacterial vaginosis. I couldn't stay. I didn't understand it then, but I couldn't stay in that acidic state. So I kept going on antibiotics and kept going on antibiotics. And finally, I booked an appointment with a gynecologist. I told my doctor, I can't do this anymore. And I went in and she was like, boric acid. She goes, the problem is you're just not acidic enough. That's all. And I was like, what? And so I used boric acid, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. And it was gone. And that's what I've used ever since. So it can be fixed, which is great because I don't really have the issue. And now I have a solution whenever I do, and I don't have to take antibiotics. But that's really how I came to this fact. This was so important to me, was to really start to understand better, and why I wanted to do talks about this, because I think a lot of women are kind of like, they don't understand what's going on. So it's my little story there. So here are some of the solutions we can look at. So as I said, we're going to talk about all types of different things. So prevention. So different things we can do. Use warm water. Don't use soap. Don't use douches, as we talked about. It upsets the vaginal, it upsets the balance in harmful bacteria, and upsets the balance between good and harmful bacteria. Resist unprotected sex, as I just talked about. Wear breathable underwear. Cotton is the best choice. Keep your clothing loose. If you're in the gym and you're working out and you're wearing your tights and you have a really good workout and you're sweating like crazy, change your clothes, change your underwear, get into something drier, especially if you find you're susceptible to yeast infections and whatnot. Avoid hot tubs and extra hot baths. I have some girls who've told me that every time they get in a hot tub, they'll get bacterial vaginosis or yeast infection. So, because hot and damp aren't your friends, and for them, definitely so. So change your workouts, as I said, front to back. And then when you're change your tampons and change your pads and your panty liners, or if you're using the cups, then make sure you're emptying that too. So really taking care of that area down there. I think sometimes we just kind of avoid it and hope it takes care of itself. So also too, supporting your microbiome. So we're talking about microbiome in the vaginal area, but it all starts with digestive health as well, right? We are what we eat. All disease begins in the gut. So we really want to make sure that we're nurturing our microbiome in our whole body, because that's also going to be contributing as well to our estrogen, also contributing to how our body's responding with our vaginas, and how everything's happening down there is all starts with what we're eating, right? That's a big part of it. So we want to make sure we're making sure we're having nutrients that will help us make the hormones we need and break down the ones that we don't need. In our system, we are outnumbered to bacteria to human cells 10-1. And what are the stats? The stats are, I'm trying to think of this one. We are only 10% alike with bacteria. I think I'm right on this one. And we're 99% alike gene-wise. So our bacteria, we all have such a different mixture of bacteria, but really looking at food is one of the biggest ways you can actually not support your gut health, but also support your vaginal health as well. Because poor gut health leads to excess estrogen. So as we talked about with yeast infections, digestive issues, we all know we don't like that, PMS, brain fog, higher levels of breast cancer, and estrogen metabolites, because you're going to have excess estrogen in the system because your body's not metabolizing it, and mood imbalances, to name a few. So the first thing we really want to look at, we look at all those steps I talked about before, but then we want to look at nutrition. What are we eating on a day-to-day basis? What foods are we putting into our bodies to support our body and support our vaginal health as well? Getting yourself a good quality probiotic. If you are somebody who is struggling with a yeast infection, or who find this is something that just kind of keeps ongoing, really getting a good probiotic, taking care of that gut health. And prebiotic rich foods as well. So garlic, artichokes, yogurts. Stats have showed I have Greek yogurt every night before I go to bed. It's high in protein. I do the sugar-free one. I use a little bit of sweet monk sweetener in there, and I absolutely love it. It's like an ice cream for me, and it's lower in carbohydrates, really high in protein, a great thing to have before you go to bed, but it's got those good prebiotic in there too, right? The good prebiotics in there as well, that's going to support your vaginal health. Chicory, apples, legumes, sauerkraut, looking at ways you can incorporate. There's a whole list of prebiotic food if you Google that, looking at ways you can incorporate some of these foods into your day-to-day diet to support not only your gut health, but also your vaginal health as well. We want to make sure we're eating a diet rich in nutrients and minerals. Rotate your produce. Don't eat the same thing all the time. I know I'm guilty of that. I can do that very easily. Make sure you're eating good, high quality protein. We are what we eat. So eating good, high quality protein. Eggs, bone broth is another thing too. If you're somebody who has really digestive and intestinal issues, a good bone broth is really great. And reducing your sugar. Yeast thrives on sugar. So if you're somebody who has chronic yeast infections, really making sure you're lowering those sugar levels. And then supporting your absorption and your digestion with some digestive enzymes if you find you're gassy or bloated, and then HCl as well. So looking at all the foods you're incorporating into your diet. And then looking at if you find that you really are still struggling Start eliminating inflammatory foods from your diet. So foods you could be sensitive to, processed foods and oils, if this is something you really can't seem to get under control. And if you have lots of symptoms, one of the things I can suggest is doing the 21 elimination diet. So really taking things out, starting from basics and adding things back in. And there's a great diet you can follow. It is called the 21-day elimination diet that you can Google. So now we're going to talk about the supplement side of things. So as I was saying, when I first started, really understanding everything, I wanted to kind of give you guys, paint a picture of your vaginal microbiome, of all of the plain parts that are going on in your vaginal area, really looking at solutions that we have to look at food wise, and also what we can do to make sure we're supporting our vaginal area to make sure it's nice and acidic and keeping it nice and healthy. And now we're going to talk a little bit about supplementation that you can use if you need to. So as I mentioned, the boric acid that I had used for myself when I had found out my partner had cheated on me for a number of years was boric acid. And about a year ago, I was driving in my car and I remember I was just thinking, like, I experienced this about 5 years ago. And I was like, holy crap, has anybody done boric acid here in Canada? And they hadn't. There's a couple companies from the States that they did not have NPNs, which is natural product numbers we have to have here in Canada to qualify to sell. And so I launched Up and Away. So we won Innovative Product of the Year within our industry. We have a 14-day supply and with a kit, with an applicator, and a 30-day standalone. So what boric acid really does is, as I talked about, when you start getting acidic, anytime your vaginal area gets, or alkaline, you need to bring it down to that acidic state. This is what boric acid does. It's a suppository. It has antiviral, antibacterial, and antifungal properties. It helps with the burning, itching, the odor, everything, yeast infections and bacterial vaginosis. And it can be really fixed within one use. So boric acid is made from borax, you are right, it is made from borax, if you're wondering, and minerals as well. So in each one, you get a 600 milligram veggie capsule, and it's 100% boric acid. So I'll show you like the kit we have quickly. This is the kit. This has been a game changer for me. I just keep it in my cupboard, use it as I need. You can use it after you have sex, wait 24 hours to have sex again, but you can use it after you have sex to bring everything really acidic. You can use it after you have your period. I find, as I'm in perimenopause now, after my cycle, I'll notice things kind of smell a little different, and that's because blood is alkaline. Right? So to bring it down in that acidic state, some women use it once a week just to kind of keep everything nice and acidic. And it comes with an applicator. This is the 14-day supply and a little bottle in the box. In this one, we have the Candida menu planner. And here we talk about everything, everything that, and you're actually getting the Candida menu planner tonight after the talk, but everything talking about yeast infections and bacterial vaginosis is in that. And as I said, it comes in the, I left my bottle over there, a 30-day supply with no applicator that you can just use your finger to put in, but you really want to make sure you put it up, right? So it gets into the vagina and helps to really make it acidic and take away any yeast infections or bacterial vaginosis. So it's very, very simple. The other thing I'm going to talk about is testing strips. We also have testing strips as well. So as I said, you can really tell kind of by the smell, or if there's the discharge, if it's really itchy and uncomfortable, that tends to be yeast infections. These are really super and easy and simple to use. I thought this one was open, but let me open it for you so we can all take a look at it. You basically take a little swab and you wipe a little bit of your vajayjay on the tip. You take a cotton swab, wipe some from down there and just wipe it on the tip. A funny little story. I have a 14-year-old daughter, and she tried this product and just came out of the bathroom, because that's the color you want it to be on. I'm sorry, there you go. Bright yellow there. So that's, you can see the thing. You want it to stay as yellow as possible. She came out and she's like, Mom, this doesn't work. This product doesn't work. I'm like, babe, it's a good thing. It's good for you to be super acidic. And so you can also check here when it starts going this range, that's when it's more bacterial vaginosis. So super easy to test. If it goes green, that means you're very alkaline, and go see a doctor. So that's something else that we have too, that really makes it easy if you're somebody who really wants to make sure you know exactly where you are. Another thing I wanted to talk about, because we did talk about estrogen dominance, we do know when we have higher levels of estrogen in the body, that can also be one of the reasons why you're getting yeast infections or chronic yeast infections. So looking at a product that actually helps support your estrogen metabolism in your body, and that would be Reclaim. Reclaim is my favorite product. I'm in perimenopause. This is a game changer for me. It's going to help with estrogen metabolism, so estrogen detoxification. It supports your mood as well. Also helps to get your body on cycle again. I find in perimenopause, sometimes I have it, sometimes I don't, sometimes I'm spotting. This really keeps me on track. and also really is a great immune support as well and liver support. And I'll go over the ingredients super fast. We have calcium deglucarate in there that helps with stage 2 liver detoxification, so supporting the liver to flush out excess estrogen metabolites. We have green tea extract that's going to stabilize blood sugar. We talked about sugar levels. Making sure our blood sugar is really balanced is really also important. Broccoli sulforaphane. So broccoli is made from cruciferous vegetables. That helps with estrogen detoxification, ridding yourself of any excess estrogen in the system. DIM balances good to bad estrogen in the body and helps with breast, uterine, and colorectal cancer, and also PMS. Then we have St. John's wort in there. So we have a 4-to-1 extract, helps with mood. You feel it in about 15 minutes. We have white yam that helps with vaginal dryness, low libido, helps with testosterone and DHEA production, and astragalus and zinc as well that are going to help with immune health. And we also have chaste tree in there too. And that helps create luteinizing hormone, which helps with progesterone, which is going to help keep your cycle on track. So this is one of my favorite products. It's a 1 to 2 a day as needed. Been phenomenal for me. I love it, and really kind of helps me in my perimenopause journey right now. So if that's something you're looking at, or if you're discovering you are having chronic yeast infections, this could be something to look at too. Not only taking all those other things into account that we talked about earlier, but also looking at getting a good estrogen support product to flush out any excess estrogen that you may have in the body. Last but not least, I'm going to touch a bit on Restore. Sorry, I forgot Restore was in here too. So Restore is really looking at stress. We spoke about how stress can also link to yeast infections and chronic bacterial vaginosis. So this product really helps with stress resilience, really looking at how we can support your body through stress with cognition, energy, and focus, and also overall hormonal harmony. We have Chinese hawthorn that supports heart health in here. We have KSM 66 ashwagandha, which is a really powerful adaptogen that helps your body manage stress. We have bacopa that helps with brain fog. So if you're in menopause or past menopause and you're really struggling with brain fog, this is a fantastic product for you too. Astragalus, that really helps with cortisol and also helps with the neurochemical impairments that can happen in the brain with stress. Shashandra, that helps turn down the overproduction of cortisol, really lowering the levels of stress in your body, and B5, which is the anti-stress vitamin. And that's just a 1 a day as well. So that's something if you're looking for something more stress supportive wise, if you're finding you're getting continuous bacterial vaginosis, which can be connected to stress as well. And that is it for the product selection side. As I said, with every single product, we do have these QR codes. So like if you bought Up and Away, for example, you can scan this and there's so much information. If you're in the store, you're wondering about any of these products, there's a 30 to 60 second video. I was on Dragon's Den in December this past year. I had 3 offers. I said yes to Arlene Dickinson. I did say no after the show was finished, but you can go to Aeryon Wellness and Dragon's Den. You can watch my pitch. And that's how I got on the show, was using these QR codes. So it really is incredible technology. And we are updating it currently right now to put new information, new meal plans, and a lot more stuff for you in there. So there we go. Now we can delve into some questions. Kind of probably went fast through that. So on Lynchian sclerosis, I don't have any on Lynchian sclerosis, sorry, on this talk. Oh, no open questions? Okay. Where are we here? Oh, it was answered. Okay. Oh, there we go. It has been answered live. Okay, gotcha. Am I going to the chat or do I go Q&A?
You can do both. We've asked to drop questions in either the chat window or the Q&A section, whichever works for you guys.
Okay. No, I don't have any information really on Lynchian sclerosis, but I do know that there is, when I did this talk last year, there's actually a support group, believe it or not, for this. So, and it is something that when I was made aware of it, that the women in that group were quite supportive of each other. And I'd shared that with the person on there. So if you are interested in that, I can look up that for you. And they might have more info. Any other questions? Oh. Yeah. Oh, okay, I have to go to open. There we go. Okay. Yes, so I will say this. So Reclaim, so I love Reclaim, but we actually have, we've changed the formula. And we just sold out of our last 48 was the last 48 that we have of this one with the St. John's wort. We've removed the St. John's wort because I really want to make this a product that's available to anybody. And we've replaced it with lion's mane and turmeric. So this one is going to be a 1 a day, which is amazing. We actually changed it to a 1 a day. So if you just keep your eyes peeled, you'll see there won't be a little sunshine in there anymore. We actually have a lion's mane, and that one's going to be hitting nutters very soon. So in the next, I would say in the next month or so, just keep your eyes peeled, but we do have that one. And that one it's such an incredible formula for perimenopause. So definitely, that's one of the reasons why I took it out was the antidepressant side of things. I have a great formulator, but I didn't agree with him on that one. Would you ever do a supplement? I could do a segment on prolapse. Yes, for sure I can. And my nutters are in most of the nutters. My products are in most of the nutters locations. If they're not, you can definitely ask them, and they will bring the product in if there's something you are interested in. Yes. So 57 in menopause. So that is actually very, very, very common. I'm looking at doing a product eventually to really look at that for vaginal dryness. So some of the things you can take, obviously naturally, you can look at sea buck hawthorn. That's one of the things. That's a great supplement you can take. Vitamin A is really great as well. Vitamin D, believe it or not, they've done studies, really also helps with lubrication. And then you can also do linoleic acid. There's a bunch of natural supplements you can take, but the sea buckthorn oil is a really common one. And then also fish oils too. And then of course you want to make sure that you're actually you can use a lubricant. So you can use an internal lubricant, or you can use an external lubricant as well. And those help. Another solution, I know some women go on estrogen replacement, and that can be another one as well. But if you want to go the natural alternative, definitely there is the sea buck hawthorn, vitamin A, and fish oils and linoleic acid. So those are some of the ones you can definitely look at. And I definitely am going to plan on doing something too for that. But you're not alone. And I think that's one of the conversations that I'm looking forward to having, is really normalizing. This is something that's going to happen. And so we have to, be patient, I think, with ourselves, and hopefully our partners are too. But there is some great lubrication out there that's all natural. And then also looking at some natural supplementation. And if you wanted to, you go talk to your practitioner and see if estrogen replacement therapy is something you want to do. Yes, you can use that's what Up and Away is actually. This Up and Away is boric acid, 100% plain boric acid in a veggie capsule. So you put it up before bed. You can, I've used it during the day when I've noticed things seem off, doesn't bother me. And so you can use it that way, or you can put a light panty liner as well. Some people actually do use tea tree oil. I have heard that. I've never tried using the tea tree oil because I've always just had boric acid, or I've had boric acid now. And so that's what I use. But I know definitely that's something people do use, the warm water and 1-2 drops of tea tree oil. Vagifem 2, Vagifem. I'm not sure what Vagifem is, 10. Vagifem 10. I actually don't know what that is. I'd have to look that up. I'm sorry, I don't know what that one is. Do you know what it is?
I've never heard of it.
Okay, yeah, I've never heard of it. Sorry. So what about prolapse? I'm not sure what, in the sense of, I think we can do a talk on it. Not sure what the question is. Oh, estrogen replacement. If it is something, that would be something you want to discuss with your medical practitioner. I think everybody has to do what's best for them. And I think if you want to do it naturally and try sea buckthorn, or, my mom has used estrogen replacement. She uses a cream. She's used it for years. And she said, basically she wouldn't have been able to make it through without it. So I think we all have to really do what's best for us. And sometimes we can hear the voices of don't take this and don't do this. But if it makes you feel better and it makes you function and feel normal in the world, and live your best life, then I think you have to do what's best for you. So I definitely would talk to your doctor about it and kind of go with that and see how that feels for you.
Aeryon, did you answer Jennifer's question at the top?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I said we're taking the St. John's wort out. So the new batch of Reclaim that we have coming out now, the new formula has no St. John's wort in it. So it's a very sore cracked vagina from, I don't think that's common. I'm not sure the very sore cracked. You might need to put some more lubrication, or I'd probably go see your gynecologist and ask them something around those. Best supplement for postmenopause. Postmenopause, I'd really look at heart health. I mean, heart disease is one of the #1 killers for women. So really making sure you're getting a really great heart support product, CoQ10, a really good, along those lines, a really good CoQ10 is something I would probably look at having. There's some great heart support products out there, but that's what I would really look at, is a good heart support product. And brain health as well. Let's not forget brain. I mean, look at the stats they've just kind of come out with looking at Alzheimer's and dementia in the next 50 some odd years. So next 20 years, I think it is. So, soy gets a really bad rap, and it really kind of has a bipolar relationship, I think, with people. People either love it or hate it. And I've been in the industry for a really long time. So I remember when everybody used to have soy protein. Fermented soy is great for you. So of course you don't want to be eating excess amounts, but it has phytoestrogens. So having a good amount of soy in your diet is perfectly fine. And you can really look at having a fermented soy. That's what I would look at doing. So tofu, kimchi, oh no, that's not fermented soy, sorry. But all the stuff you want to get, make sure it's fermented. So I think that's it.
We still have a few minutes, so if you guys want to ask more questions or you have anything else that you'd like to add, feel free. We do have, I don't know, about 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, wow. For prolapse. Well, for up and away is good for bacterial vaginosis and yeast infections. So that's the 2 claims we have on that product. So I'm not sure if it would be good for prolapse or not. That would be something I'd have to look into, to be honest with you. But I can do that. If you'd like to give me your email address, I can definitely look into it. But I'd want to give you a really good answer on it and make sure I know what I was looking into some clinicals or whatnot. Yes, night sweats. Well, night sweats, you have passion flower is a great one. Valerian is also another great one. I have a product called Snooze, and it's a nighttime sleep support product. Actually, I'll go back a slide because it's on the slide there. So it's right, that Snooze right there. So Snooze has passion flower in it and valerian. We have really great feedback for that one for night sweats. It also has no melatonin, so it's melatonin free. Then it also has, thank you so much, Brenda. I'll take a look at that. I'm going to write that down. And so that really helps with the night. So it also helps you sleep through the night. If you're looking for something to have a really good sleep, you can take 2 of those. And we have a bonus size launching in October as well. So you get the 60 cap for the 30 cap price. So I would take Snooze definitely for that one. I'm going to write Brenda's email down so I have it.
Erin, I'll copy it and send it to you.
Oh, okay, thank you. Sorry. Oh, well, impact, geez, how's hysterectomy impact vaginal health? Well, you're obviously with a hysterectomy, that would be somebody who could also really be experiencing different bacterial vaginosis, because you'd be affecting your estrogen levels, and it would depend if you're on estrogen therapy. A lot of people who have hysterectomies are put onto some sort of hormonal support regime. So it just all depends. I mean, I'm assuming that you would be on something that would also balance you out hormonally wise. So then you would still be able to have the lactobacilli, so you'd still be able to have the acidity that you need. And I think everybody would just be impacted differently, I would think, because we're all different. So that's what I would kind of think. And our immediate prolapse bladder. That's what I'm going to have to look into as well. Would you know this one, Michelle? Is it prolapse bladder?
I honestly do not know. I've never heard the term, so let me just.
Let's Google. The art of Google.
Yeah.
I think I know a lot sometimes, and then I always learn something new. So,
Okay, so yeah, it's when the bladder bulges into the vaginal space.
okay, gotcha.
It results when the muscles and tissues that support the bladder give way.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, we do have a intestinal support product we're going to be launching. It was supposed to be out in September. So in that, I can do a lot of digging into research, and we can definitely look into that stuff too as well.
Can you talk about Kegels
Yeah.
exercises?
I start doing them right now when you said that. I think everybody
I was just
also
thinking about that because would that be something that would help with prolapse that bladder possibly?
it might. I would think it would. I mean, we know that Kegels definitely help with the pelvic floor, right? And I think they're definitely overlooked. It's so funny whenever you hear somebody mention, I think everybody, at least I know, I immediately start doing them. I'm like, I should be doing these more often. Also too, it also helps with sex when you're having sex with your partner. If you're able to have good Kegel muscle, it actually can help. At least I find it at least helped with orgasming. It helps with just experiencing it so much better. At least that's my take on it. But Kegels are something we definitely want to be doing a lot more of. And on that note, I probably should have put that in the slide. I should have everybody do Kegels for 20 seconds. But yeah, I would think Kegels would help too. I think anytime you're able to strengthen your pelvic floor and strengthen your vaginal area is definitely really important. It would probably maybe possibly help with that too, but I'd have to look into it for sure. Let's all do 10 Kegels as we sit here, shall we? Any other questions? I have products for sleep. I have products for weight loss. I have products so we can talk about really anything if you guys have questions about any of the products that we have. So I'm definitely open to that. If you have a daughter who has hormonal acne, there's something for that. So yes, weight loss. All right, we'll talk about Lose It. So Lose It is our metabolism support product. It also is our workout product as well. So it's an exercise enhancer. Yes, so I can actually reach out. It was a lady who, Bonnie, sorry, it was a lady who reached out to me and in my last talk. So I'm going to see if I can find your email. So if you can give me your email or leave your email there, and then I'll each reach out to you. So with Lose It, as we know, there is no magic pill, and that's why we have those QR codes. I take one a day before I work out. I have the best workouts, no crash, no come down. It is awesome. In there, we have indole-3 carbinol. So that helps with estrogen metabolism. We talked a little bit about that. So that really helps looking at supporting our body. When we have excess estrogen in the body, not only are we imbalanced, as we talked about earlier, and can affect our vaginal area, but it also can affect weight gain too. And so really looking at how we support our estrogen levels in the body is one of the key things with Lose It. We also have olive leaf, which helps suppress appetite a little bit. We also have green coffee bean in there that helps with metabolism. We have about 1.5 cups of coffee as well. So you do get a little bit of caffeine in there, and that also helps with fat burning. Then we have in there red pepper extract that increases the metabolic rate in your body. So it increases the heat. So then you're burning more calories. We also have B12 as well, helps convert your food into energy. And that's the ingredients on that one. I take one in the morning before I work out. My 73-year-old grandmom takes it before she plays pickleball. So it really has a lot of uses. You can take 1 to 2 a day if you're looking for weight loss or you're looking for energy. Fantastic product. It's one of our best sellers. And we've had some really, really incredible results. And if you do take it or do buy it or see it, scan the QR code. There's workouts in there, meal plans. We talk about mindful eating strategies. There's so much in there. And then for sleep, as I mentioned before, we have Snooze, which is the melatonin-free product. So there's no melatonin in this product. If you're looking for something like that, it has the passion flower and valerian in there to help with night sweats. But if you're somebody who really needs to be knocked out, which sounds kind of weird to say, but needs to be knocked out, Sleeping Beauty is our collagen supportive product. It has collagen supportive ingredients to help your body repair at night while you're sleeping. So it doesn't have collagen, but collagen supportive ingredients. It has lysine that helps build your collagen. Then it has vitamin C, which is used to create more collagen in your system. Indian gooseberry. It's got some really incredible ingredients in there. It got zinc in there for immune health and acne, vitamin D for immune health. Then we have magnesium bisglycinate, 2 milligrams of melatonin, and GABA. You make it warm like a tea before you go to bed, and you are out in 15 minutes. I've not had one person tell me they didn't sleep on that product. So it's sweetened with stevia. So if you wanted to, you can mix it in with your tea bag or just drink it with hot water. So that's my 2-minute rant on those products there. So, but yeah, and they have QR codes as well, collagen supported menu planners, and all tips and strategies and tools in there too. All right, any other questions? No? All right. Michelle, what are you thinking?
You know what? If that's it, that's awesome. We can definitely wrap it up here, unless there's any last minute questions. And again, this is going to be, it is recorded, so we'll send it out probably tomorrow morning. So check your mailbox and it should be there.
Okay, awesome. We do have one more question. How about sweating all day, not just during the night? I've never had somebody tell me that. Well, I guess if it's hot out, that'd be one thing. I know we did just come off of summer. But if you're sweating all day, I guess, I would actually probably go talk to your doctor about that. I mean, it's hard to kind of know exactly what that would be, to be honest with you. I wish I could answer that, but I'd have to kind of understand everything, what your food's like, what your movement's like, what your water's like. So, but I definitely, I mean, if it's something that obviously that would not be comfortable to be sweating all the time, to definitely go see your doctor.
Fantastic. Well, I think we'll stop it there. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And Aeryon, if they do have questions, how can they get a hold of them? Or
Yes.
how can they get a hold of you if they want to ask you questions either through social media or maybe website, email?
Yeah, actually, let me just go to, I think I have that slide in here. I should. There we go. So we are on, I forgot to do my little, please follow me. We have a newsletter on the website. So we do webinars every month as well. We have Instagram and Twitter at Aeryon Wellness, Facebook, Aeryon Wellness, YouTube, Aeryon Wellness. You can watch videos. My personal Instagram is Ashlie. So I welcome you to give me a follow. And if you do have questions, feel free to reach out. I do my best to answer them. I'm always available for the most part. And I always answer if I possibly can. So you can either message us on Instagram at Aeryon Wellness or at Ashlie as well. And you can find out about when I'm back at Netters. So I'll be putting it out there too.
Excellent. And again, just a reminder, I know Aeryon mentioned this before, any of the products that were discussed tonight, feel free to stop into your local Netters and pick them up. Or if that store doesn't have it in stock, they can definitely order it in for you. So just talk to the vitamins manager or the vitamins associate.
Yes. And thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time with me tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.